Newtown was one of the most devastating moments in recent American history. 20 young children lost their lives, 6 teachers, a mom, and a gunman. Many still believe that the tragedy could have been prevented. Let's take a look.
Sandy Hook School. I think there's somebody shooting in here.
As news of the mass shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School broke on December 14, 2012, President Barack Obama made an emotional plea to end gun violence.
And we're going to have to come together and take meaningful action to prevent more tragedies like this, regardless of the politics.
The shooting massacre prompted executive orders from Obama to toughen gun control laws and inspired a package of gun control measures in Congress. It also led to calls for better security in schools, including the presence of armed guards. Obama supported proposals to ban rapid-firing assault weapons and extend background checks for sales made online and at gun shows.
It's open season in terms of how people can easily get guns, especially if you're someone prohibited like a domestic violence abuser, a fugitive, or a criminal. All you have to do is go online and instantly you have a gun. It's way too easy, far too easy for dangerous and risky people to get guns in this country.
But despite overwhelming public support, the measures failed to clear the U.S. Senate in April in the face of opposition from gun rights advocates.
You know, the genie's out of the bottle. There's millions and millions and millions of guns in the world, billions of guns in the world. So when a bad guy has one, how are you going to stop it? You have two choices. One is, you call 911 and wait, or you defend yourself.
Meantime, in the years since Newtown, a gunman killed 12 people in a mass shooting at the Washington Navy Yard, and gun violence has continued to claim lives across the country.
Now, since the tragedy in Newtown, there have been heated debates throughout the United States about how to prevent another such tragedy. Many mental health programs have had budget cuts, and gun ownership is on the rise. So what's the answer, and was there a missed opportunity to bring the country together after Newtown? To talk it out, we have Bob Brown. He is a former police officer and an attorney joining us now, along with Dee Dee Benke, and of course, we also have our friend Dr. Bart. Well, thank you so much again for braving the elements today, Bob. Thanks for coming in here. Since the Newtown tragedy, 194 children under the age of 12 have lost their lives in gun violence in the United States. Where are we right now on gun laws, and should they be tougher? It is not the only thing we're going to debate, but Dee Dee, we're going to let you start things off.
No, because the bad guys will always have the guns, so I think citizens should be able to protect themselves. And when it comes to schools, why don't we have armed guards? Why don't we just have police there? Why don't we have some sort of security? I mean, what is more important than our children? So I don't know, I think that makes it pretty easy. Why wouldn't you, I mean, we have security in almost every building, you know, all over the city, certainly in New York. Why wouldn't you have them in schools?
Bob, let's hear from you.
Well, that would be a cost factor. I mean, just take a look at what happened the other day in Colorado. They had another shooting again. You can go to a movie house and get shot. You can go to a mall like we had in North Jersey. There's the potential of being shot. In my town in Old Bridge in Central Jersey, a gunman came in that worked, went home, came back and shot and killed a few of the employees there. I mean, there's no safe spot. Yes, the school should be more secure, but if a guy's going to come in with a gun, shoot right through the window, it's tough to protect.
I want to get your thoughts in a moment on just if you think that gun ownership is on the rise and what should be done about that. But Dr. Bart, let's just weigh in on just your thoughts initially.
Well, my thought here is that we need to change the face of mental health in America. And we need to do that by having a program in middle school and high schools that addresses mental health / psychology so kids can become the individuals that they want to be. We're not there yet. We have a society that's sick when it comes to mental health. It just doesn't work. And to answer your question, really, I believe that it's the right time because those on the right, those on the left, and those in the center all agree on one thing: mental health. That's the only thing we agree on. So why not go down that road? That's what bothers me about this whole debate.
Well, it certainly is very easy for anybody with a mental health problem, or even the criminals, the bad guys, as you said, Dee Dee, to be able to get a gun, but there's so many loopholes in the system right now. Do you think that that needs to be addressed, Bob, and what would you be recommending?
Well, in New Jersey, it's very tough to obtain a gun, just like in New York and Connecticut, but yet you still had the incident that happened. I mean, if you can tighten it up, completely, you're still going to get people to use a gun. The matter in Newtown, the family had the guns. They shot the guns. And what happened? He took the gun down the street and went into the school and killed those poor kids.
Well, America now has something like, and they're not exactly sure of the number, something like 300 million firearms in the country. A barrage of NRA-backed laws, which make it easier, and record casualties from mass killings. So let's talk a little bit about guns. Dee Dee, I know I'm going to throw a couple statements out to you. Guns don't kill people. People kill people.
True. That's right. That's exactly right. And again, the bad guys are always going to get the guns, and crazy people too, which is why I think Dr. Bart's point is very good. That is where we can agree. And there are several states, what is it, 36, 37 are now putting more money into mental health, which is great.
Bob?
On Dee Dee's point about the mental health, I mean, when I was a policeman, I was involved in the shooting. And it was an incident that just escalated where a guy came out with a rifle, shot me in the hand and the arm, and I had to return fire, shoot, and kill him. If he didn't have the gun, I wouldn't have been shot. Yes, police officers should have it because they have to enforce the law. But to me, I would take all the guns we got, throw them in the ocean. That's my position.
Okay, I'm going to give you a little fact check on that. People with more guns obviously tend to kill more people with guns. The states with the highest gun ownership rates have a gun murder rate 114% higher. So that's our little fact check right there. Let me give you another one. Carrying a gun for self-defense makes you safer. Dee Dee?
Of course it does. What, if I'm going to be attacked or some guy's going to come at me, I have a gun? Guess what? I'm much safer. Otherwise, I'm going to get raped, I'm going to get attacked, killed. Something will happen.
Domestic violence, I'm sure you've seen.
Well, about protecting yourself is one thing, but it gets you involved. You would walk away, you go on a 911, you walk away. I know as a retired
911?
911.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's not good enough.
But the thing is, no, as a retired policeman, I can carry a gun under federal and state law. Most times I don't carry it, because you know what it is? I don't want to get involved. Yes, I like to protect myself in certain areas, but you have that gun, you're going to get involved. Somebody has a gun, they're going to get hurt.
What's better to get involved than to get killed?
Well, I'm going to do a little fact check on this one. With the statement of guns make women safer, in 2010, nearly 6 times more women were shot by husbands, boyfriends, and ex-partners than murdered by strangers. So
again, that's the same position I said before. Take the guns, throw them in the ocean.
That's never going to happen. It's not realistic,
I know that,
though.
but we don't need them. And the thing about it is, I know what NRA people will say, you have a right to bear arms, but you don't have the right to have ammunition. I would get rid of the ammunition, the whole thing.
What are you talking about? You have it's the Second Amendment. You have the right to bear
Second Amendment,
arms
right to
with
bear
no
arms,
bullets?
but not the bullets.
Well,
don't need the bullets.
what I can't understand in this whole debate is that we have a society where there are many individuals in our society with personality problems, personality disturbance, or schizophrenic individuals. And yet we have semi-automatic assault weapons that these people can easily buy because they have not yet been arrested and they have not yet been in a psych hospital. It doesn't make any sense. We should do something with the guns, but from my point of view, I would be happy to not even talk about the guns and just change the mental health picture. But we're not there yet.
Even though our laws are tougher in the Northeast, I'll also say that with the straw purchasing, I've done stories where you can go buy a gun for $100 in a store, in a convenience store in Newark, New Jersey. So there are ways to get guns very easily on the streets. I want to talk about the NRA Executive Vice President, Wayne LaPierre. After the Newtown shooting, he did make a statement. He said, vicious, violent video games deserve more blame than guns.
No. Absolutely not. He's wrong again.
Because you're a gamer, aren't you, Dr. Bart?
He's been wrong so many times, this guy, that they should put him in another building. First off, people who are more violent or tend to be more violent watch video games that are violent.
Do you think as a psychologist that video games do increase violence?
I think that video games are very repugnant, very nasty, and they're probably something that we should address. But they don't make people become shooters. That's what he's wrong about.
Let me ask.
Yeah, but access to the gun is what the problem is. Easy access to the gun. Someone gets mad, gets angry, or has a mental issue. That gun is going outside that house, and there's a shooting. It's just like when I used to go to some domestic violence cases. When the people had the knives in the kitchen, in those boxes, most times somebody got cut. If the knives weren't there, you put them in a drawer. When they're a fit of rage, they're going for the first thing. And what it is, it's a gun.
Well, I'm going to give you a little fact check on this one as well. Gun homicides in the U.S. in 2011 were 11,030. In Japan, they were 11. So
As in
vicious,
1-1? As in 11?
vicious. So that was the statement from Wayne LaPierre. So I think that we could dispute that one. We're going to give final thoughts to this. One of the things that I think was remarkable was the families of the Newtown victims. I actually was, on a personal note, I knew the principal very well. I used to do a lot of stories with her, and the families have asked that everybody do something, an act of kindness, and they're staying out of the limelight, very much so today. They were in Washington, D.C. with the president. But just final thoughts on prevention, or just final thoughts, reflection, whatever you want. Dr. Bart?
Yeah, my reflection is that I have a lot of respect for these families, obviously, but I think that it would be best for them if they accomplish something. And they need to in their lifetime. And the only thing that I could see that they could accomplish is really something in the area of changing mental health.
Well, mental health is one thing, but the secured, they are hiring more retired police officers to come into the school, and they are hiring part-time officers in uniform to give a show of presence. That why go to that school? It is secured by like an armed guard, etc. Hopefully, throughout the country, it deters it. But again, look at what happened in Colorado the other day. It didn't.
Yeah, and it's also a cost factor. Dee Dee, one of
Yeah, I agree, but think the cost factor. I mean, what's more important in keeping your kids safe? So definitely should have more security, and I think all Americans have the right to bear arms, and everybody should be able to have a gun.
We thank you very much, everybody. We are going to take a short break, but when we return, we will turn from this horrific tragedy to a new rock star of sorts, the Pope, who has re-energized the Catholic Church and is adorning the cover of Time magazine this week. He is the Person of the Year.